Hey guys, this is Aaliyah, the Perfect Midwife, and we are back with our special guest, Stephen Dossou. So, y'all, we had technical difficulties, but we were not going to allow it to stop us. And guess what? We have sound. I told y'all the devil is a defeated foe because we were coming back and we're coming back live. So, let me get back to doing the posting where I was. I was posting on all my other platforms and in the groups, telling everybody we're live. So, I'm going to go back and tell them we're live again. But
Okay.
we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So you told us that you are from a small town in West Africa, and what was the name of the little town now?
Togo. I'm from Togo.
Togo, Togo.
Yeah.
You are
Country is
one of
called
10.
town is Lome. The country is called Togo and the town is Lome.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And you are one of 10 children,
Yeah.
and you have 22 nieces and nephews.
Exactly. Yes.
I remember, yay. So you guys, he's from a very, very small town, and he was talking about how the average person makes $50 a week. And he
A
said
month.
not a month.
A month. Not a week. A month.
Oh
The
Jesus.
average is $50 a month. Okay. A week
So,
is an inflation of the figures.
oh wow. Y'all, I'm sorry I told y'all wrong. It was a month. Whew,
Yeah.
I can't even fathom. My Lord. My Lord, my Lord. So you were about to tell us, and I'm trying to remember where we left off, and it was like you get ready to go into it, and then
We were talking about how what first of all we spoke about what does the two keywords faith transform, what do they mean to me, right?
mhm,
And I shared with you how really it's the core of my being. As a matter of fact, the my
mhm,
book titled Be Transformed: How to Live Free of Fear, Self-Doubt, and Low Self-Esteem was
mhm,
inspired by the Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right?
mhm.
So when we talk about faith transform, is really something that I stand by, I walk by. As my mother will say, I am a living testimony of faith transformed. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and yes. So you, oh, I know what I asked you. I asked you, how did you start that journey? What put you
Yes.
up, placed you on that journey?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was saying to our fellow listeners, Alea, that when I'm often asked that question, I usually have two answers. And the first answer is that because my life is not it's not for me, right? I didn't give myself life. Okay. So how did I start that journey? I think is a gift of God, right? But there's a difference between starting your journey and becoming aware of your journey. You get what I'm saying? Because there are so many people in life that have started their journey, yet have not become aware of what their purpose and calling is on that journey. You get what I'm saying? So I think perhaps the real question I want to answer here is, at what point have I become aware of the journey? And like how Dr. Miles Monroe will say, at what point have I met myself? You get what I'm saying? Right.
Yes,
So
I
so
love the
so
late Dr. Miles Monroe.
yeah. So look, I think when I was basically growing up in Togo, I remember I finished my high school at the age of 15 and writing my first degree at 18 years old. And my first degree was in economics. And I was basically looking at what potentially the future of my country could look like. And as a young man, like I was said in the beginning, that the future was bleak. And I asked myself the question, right? So where could I go? Which ecosystem, which environment could I throw myself in that could make me a more fruitful person, right? Because at the end of the day, a seed is a product of its environment, right? So, so I was like, you know what? At the time, I remember, I tried Europe, didn't work, visa denied. I tried America, visa denied. I was like, hey, where could be the next best destination that I could go? And I remember picking South Africa. Now, from one side of the continent to the next, it took me 18 months. And I remember leaving home with just $200, okay? Less than $200 in my pocket. And Aliyah, what did I have as the best currency ever to trade along the journey? It was faith. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right. It I didn't have thousands of dollars, I didn't have thousands of euros, but the best currency, the best tool I had to go from one side of the continent to the next, embarking on a journey where I didn't know that I didn't know anybody, where I didn't have no place to go, I didn't have no home, I didn't have no uncle, nobody. What I had was two key things. It was faith and God. Do you get what I'm saying? So it was on that journey during those 18 months, Aliyah, that my family thought I was dead. Because on those 18 months, days came where Aliyah I had no food to eat. Days came where I had no place to stay. Days came where I was homeless. And the only thing I was focusing on was to go from one destination to the other to reach my destination and actually start building a life for myself, a life in which I can also be a proud uncle, a life in which I can also be a proud uncle that provides for his nephews and nieces, a life in which I can be someone that my family can count on. So it is in that journey that, when they say that God reveals himself to you often through trials and tribulations, but only to the person that's able to see it. You get what I'm saying? And it
Mhm.
is in that journey that I I I was like, look, here I am. I remember it was a Wednesday afternoon, Aliyah, and I was broken. Okay, for 2 years, right? I was homeless for 2 years. I was sleeping in a shack that the rent was $20. Those kind of shack that mice will come and eat your food and bully you on top. Okay,
Oh goodness.
yes, those mice that mice, those shacks that the mice will come in and they'll look at you and be like, "Are we broke? You're not gonna do anything, all right? Shut the hell up." And I remember I would go to the street hawking stand and basically I was doing anything a man could do to survive. And I remember walking in that church that afternoon, broken in pieces, sitting in front, heads down, and the pastor walked up to me and said, "What is going on, young man?" And I said, "Sir, look, it's been 2 years now that I've decided to leave my home country by myself just to trying to write a different story for my life. And let me tell you something, it has been challenging." And here's what this pastor told me that got stuck with me till today. Right. This pastor told me that, look, Steve, all along you've been trying to do it by yourself, but from today you're going to do it with God. Do you get what I'm saying? So then the question then becomes, how many people out there right now trying to do things by themselves and not with God? Do you get what I'm saying? So I think for me, that is the inception of my journey. Okay. I'm going to share with you more stories as we go through. But for me, how did I get onto this path as to when you talk about faith transformed? That at that point where that pastor told me, look, you've been trying to do it by your own will all along. But as from today, you're going to do it with God. That was the seed of the journey.
Wow. Wow, wow, and wow. That was the seed of the journey. You had faith, you had God, and you had $200. But
That's
it
it.
was when the pastor said to you, you had faith in God, but you still were trusting in yourself.
Exactly.
Oh wow. That was powerful. That was powerful. So that shifted your mind. And what like how did you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've changed my mindset. I'm moving forward. Now it's time for me to help somebody else. How do you get to that point? You know.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I think, Ali, I think something that is very, very important that I need to emphasize on what you just said is that, when we talk about changing one's mind, when we talk about transformation, in fact, transformation is defined as the change of one's from one's outer form, which is the result of the change of the inner form, right? And guess what? It is perpetual. All right. So when we talk about transformation, it's not just, especially when it comes to the mindset. I mean, you're not going to uncondition what has been conditioned into you for years in just 1 minute, right? It's perpetual. So after finish that conversation with that pastor, I will still go back to my street parking stand every single morning, screaming my lungs out. Hi, man, please come this, buy that. And I'll basically be helping everybody to just to survive basically by the day. And it was a Wednesday afternoon. And this gentleman came to me and said, Steve, you know, I've been sitting here for a while. You come here, I can tell the life is tough, but you come here every day, excited and happy. What is your story? Talk to me. share with you my journey, how things have been, how I overcome, racism. I've been, fired from jobs because the white secretary didn't like my black face. I've experienced other challenges where the white boss will call me monkey, and more stories to come. Okay, so just don't log off as yet, all right? I drop some wisdom on you today. I want to share some stories with you today. Okay, so he was like, Steve, tell me more about yourself. My story is like, you know what, Steve? How about you come through on Monday morning? Okay, come through Monday to Mass Mart. So Mass Mart, Aliyah, is a division of Walmart in Africa, across Africa. Okay, so he said, look, come to Mass Mart on Monday. I might have something for you. Aliyah, truth be told, even the trouser and the shirt that I wore to go to that interview, I didn't have it. Okay, I went to see this friend pastor of mine that gave it to me. So he went into dress, said, hey, this is great news. Here's a brand new trouser, a brand new shirt, and I wore them as if they were mine. Now, look, let me tell you about Faith Transformed, Aliyah. On my way to the interview, I bumped into this blonde woman that was struggling with boxes. Her name is Isabel Kukumor. And I said, ma'am, can I have some time on my hands? She's like, okay, where are you going, ma'am? I'm going to that building, three floors up. Let's go. And we arrived there. I dropped the boxes, and she asked me in return, like, oh, young man, thank you so much for having me. But I see you. You took time off your day. Like, where are you going? I'm like, no, I'm going to this address. I'm going to meeting someone for an interview. He's like, oh, no, you are at the address. What are you looking for? I gave the gentleman's name, and she called the gentleman now. Young man, Stephen is here to talk to you. It's like, oh, Stephen is here for the interview. And guess what? Isabel Kukumo, the lady that I have with the boxes, turned out to be the interviewer. You get
Can't nobody do it like God can. You hear me?
And just like that, Aliyah, I got the job. But now, what was the job? The job was to sell vacuum cleaners. Now, again, I've got to tell you the truth, Aliyah, that I was by the time 19 going to be 20, but I had never touched or seen a vacuum cleaner in my life. And it's one of those fancy machines that people will spend $2,000-$3,000 on. Back home in Togo, we never use vacuum cleaner. We use brooms to clean our
Right.
home. Right? So I got given a sales script. It's like, here it is. Come, let us show you how you use these machines. Yeah, you're right. And then I went home. And I went home, practiced my own thing. I came back the following day. From the following day, Ali, I worked for 3 years nonstop, 7 days a week, 13, 14, 15 hours doing, hi, ma'am, how are you? Come closer. Let me tell you why buying these vacuum cleaners is going to make your husband love you more. I said, hold on a second. Let me tell you why getting this machine is going to turn your home into a happy home. I did that every single. And one afternoon, this gentleman came to me. That was 3 years in, and they came to me and said, Steve, we've been watching you for a while. And look, the numbers you are bringing in this region, you're not only selling the vacuum cleaners, but you're actually driving the entire store. Even though you are in a small town, because of your sales, we competing with international stores. I was like, wow. So how about you come to the head office? Okay, we don't want you to play small anymore. Come to, we'll give you a team of 60 people, a bigger sales target with more resources, and you can do what you do, but on a bigger scale. I was like, the Lord is my provider. Let us go. All right. They came to me on I remember they came to me on Monday. I didn't even have a place to stay in the other town. I was like, Wednesday, I'm gonna be there. Okay, I am there. All right. The Lord is my shepherd. Right?
Right.
And that was so 6 months later again, I got promoted from a team of 60 people, went to a team of 200 people with bigger sales target. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm talking about all of this before the age of 25. Okay. So about 24 years old, I remember, I got engaged to this beautiful South African girl. Yeah, yeah, your boy has had some stripes, okay? So I was like, I I I I want to go into my own journey. I want to go back to working for myself. So I started, we started producing and distributing these hair line products for Black and Indian people. And 1 year into our business, the business collapsed and basically took everything we had with it. All right. Everything I had built till then, like the house, the cars, everything, I was back to zero. So at that point, I asked myself the question, what has brought me thus far? In my TEDx talk, I talk about my TEDx talk titled The Upside of Losing Momentum. I talk about how for a seed to bloom, it has to go in the darkness of the ground in order for it to do so. So it's not every time that we go through tribulations that is going to be the place we are going to stay. That shouldn't be our dwelling place, but it should be a place for us to bloom and blossom even better. Right? So I was like, what has brought me thus far? Sure, it was that I was resilient. Sure, it was that I could push through. But what even more important was my ability to really communicate and bring the best of my team at every single level. Right. So that means, wait, I actually have a calling for this thing. Right. So basically, I was able to discover my talent, my unique ability through the journey, right, that I've been able to go through. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna turn this into my career. So I left South Africa. I went to Asia. I went to Singapore. That was more than 10 years ago. And here we are.
So you left and went to Asia just
Yeah,
on faith.
on faith. On faith. You always gotta look at, okay, where is the best potential place that I could do this. And at the time, with my homework, Asia came up. I was like, okay, let's go. Right. God is the one that orders our steps.
So how did you end up getting on the TEDx stage?
TEDx stage. A very interesting story actually, Aliyah, and many people don't believe this, but to actually get on TEDx, it's not an easy feat at all, right? It's not an easy feat at all, right? And I remember before even speaking at TEDx Leiden in the Netherlands, I remember having applied for 150 TEDx talks, 150, and still didn't get any. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know. So
Hmm.
this again, it was one of those things that I would say God basically made it happen for me, right? Because um the way I ended up being invited to speak at TEDx was because the same organizer at the TEDx Star attended a talk. He happened to be in the audience at another talk I hosted, right? Yeah. And when I coincidentally applied for her event, she was like, "Oh, wait, I just said it before. You got a wonderful story. Come on, we want to have you on, right?" Yeah. So this goes back to faith transform, right? Because here's the thing, Aliyah. I think I want to really emphasize on this, that faith, it has two ways of working. That sometimes it can work for us when we activate it for ourselves, but at the same time, when we have an overflow of faith can also do its own work in our life without us even calling upon it, right? That's when we have the overflow of faith. So in that particular instance, I have the faith, I have the belief that, look, I'm gonna be on TEDx. I don't know how or when, but it's gonna happen for me, right? And then guess what? God activated the circumstances. God put in place the right people at the right time so that could make happen.
That's powerful. That is so powerful. So, Stephen, what would you say to the person who just feels helpless and hopeless because of such situations and circumstances, and they can't fathom making $50 a month, especially living in America? But what would you say to that person that just feels like nothing they can't get out of their situation? What would you say to that person? Because you have been in some very low lows and been able to that faith walk taking you to some highs. What would you say to that person that's feeling that way as they're listening to us live or on the replay?
Yeah, Aliyah, at some point in that journey, I ended up working for this warehouse, and this gentleman, a white South African. If anybody knows the history of South Africa, it's pretty much like the Jim Crow era in the US. Okay. Then they call it the apartheid. Okay. So the apartheid is basically an institutionalized racism system that believes that the white people are above the black people, pretty much. Okay. And so you still have circles, you still have some white people in a certain part of the country that still believe that till today. And to my unfortunate luck, I ended up working for that, one person like that. And I remember it was a Saturday afternoon, and he was like, "Okay, you young man, you're gonna go and offload just by me, okay? One man show. You're gonna go and offload almost 70 tons of cement on empty stomach, okay?" I worked and worked and worked until about 11 p.m. I passed out. Okay. And the following, I remember, because I used to work in the building as a warehouse, I do pretty much every work, clean, move stock, help client, anything. And then at night, I'll also be the security guard of the same premises, two in one. So, around the clock. And I passed out. Then I came back the following day. When he saw me, Aliyah, he wasn't like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what happened?" And he just, when I'm doing these abilities, okay, and he just started beating me and clapping, and hitting me like, "Hey, you bloody monkey, you'll never be it." You know, I gotta tell something. I stood there that afternoon, and I didn't even know where the chest came from, down my cheek, and I was like, what did I do? Is it a crime for me to just leave my home to just wanna be somebody better, Aliyah? So I tell this story to simply depict the fact that I don't know what somebody's going through right now. Okay. But do I know something about what down there looks like? What being low, what going down low, being as low? Do I know something about it? Yes, I do. Okay. Do I know something about living a life in which you don't know where your next meal is gonna come from? Yes, I do. Do I know something about living a life in which you are uncertain about your future? Do I know something about living a life in which you feel alone? You feel as if your work has collapsed on you. Do I know something about living a life in which the struggle is daily between, is it gonna happen for me? Is this an opportunity for me? Or I'm meant to be nothing? I know what it is. And to that person, I want to tell them something today. Okay. It says, one of my favorite Bible verses says that faith, when we have faith and we speak to mountains, we can command mountains from the deepest, we can command mountains to move to the deepest side of seas. Right? One of my favorite Bible verse also says that we walk by faith and not by sight. Do you get what I'm saying? So what you're going through right now is your sight. Do you get what I'm saying? Is what you're seeing, okay? But your face has a different story for you. Do you get what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. I've got no horn, I've got no tail. And if God did it for me, He can definitely do it for you too. All right. As a matter of fact, the only reason why you are going through the things you are going through right now is so that you can have a story to tell. Do you get what I'm saying? So you can have a story to tell, because guess what? Without tribulations, without challenges, you have no story. Okay. It is going through those things that you are able to see and discover God. You are able to meet yourself. So hold on. Don't give up just as yet. Okay. Because your time is now. Not coming, but your time is now. Because as you listen to us right now, everything is changing in your life today, right now. All you have to do is just to activate that belief to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. I knew there was something that you had to release that somebody needed to hear, because everybody's story is different, you know, but I still can't fathom in 2026 that someone's making $50 a month. I can't fathom that,
I
you
feel
know.
you.
Um, and so, whew, goodness. So you are the owner and founder of Salesforce Catalyst.
Yes, Salesforce Catalyst was my personal development business, in which we work with companies, like I said, professionals. But my focus right now is, my main company right now is Aris Vision Capital, and that
Okay.
is focusing mainly now on professionals, entrepreneurs, and investment firms.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. 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 And so, do you also coach?
Yes, I do. I do coach. I do mainly speaking, but I do also coach. I do also mentor. Do a lot of mentorship, a lot of coaching, right,
Okay.
for young professionals that have a look, perhaps I would say resilience challenges. They are finding it very difficult to be resilient in life. They are finding it very difficult to have strategies that can help them grow on their personal and professional journeys, and also entrepreneurs that want to bring their dream business to life.
Love it. So how can our listeners follow you or be
Yeah,
able
what you're
to?
gonna do, you just go on Google, type Stephen Dossou, Steven Dossou, Dossou, and everything will come up. Or go on to stevendossou.com, and that's my website. You'll be able to contact me there. Go on Instagram, find Stephen Dossou, or go on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm always active, and I will always love to connect to people. I always love to support wherever possible. So, look, if you have a bit of money to give me for that, fantastic. But if you don't have money, don't let that stop you. Okay, this is a calling. This is what I'm called to do. So, if you need help and support, just shoot me a message and let us jump on a call and let us crush the devil's heads today.
Amen. Amen. Well, Stephen, we thank you so much for sharing with us tonight to come, taking time out of your busy schedule. What time is it in Finland?
It's 4 a.m. right now.
4 a.m. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh, well, we appreciate you joining us at 4 a.m. your time and almost 9 p.m. my time. Wow. That is commitment and understanding that you're on assignment. So we truly, truly appreciate that. And we know that God is going to give you even more. But why? Because you're giving of yourself. It's selfless and not selfish. So we appreciate you. We thank you. Congratulations on all your accomplishments and those to come.
Thank you so much, Aliyah, for what you're doing. I'm deeply honored to have been on your platform today. And I only pray that your platform, your mission, your voice get amplified to the deepest, deepest corners of the world.
Amen. Thank you so much and hope to see you soon.
See you too soon. Bye bye.
All right. Good night, guys. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place, right here on Friday Inspire, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.